So when it comes to earning simple interest, so there's going to be two types of interest we talk about: simple and compound interest. So simple interest, obviously there are no compounding periods. That's when you know if you're in simple interest territory. The amount of interest on an investment earns based on only the principal. So it's interest that you earn based on only the principal. If we gathered the amount of simple interest as a function of time, it produces a linear function. The y-intercept is the starting principal, and the slope is the interest rate earned. When using the simple interest formula, I'm going to use a different color for this one. Watch this, okay? When using the formula, time must always be in years. Okay, so that's important for this one to work. And I will just let you know here, I'm just going to do this on the margins, that this is linear. Okay, so if you were to graph this, and you compare the time that went by to the money that you have, it would start somewhere on the y-axis, right? And then it would just go up straight like that. So it's linear. So simple interest is a linear function. All right. If given months or days, you must convert to years. Use the fraction as a way of keeping all the decimals until final answer. So if you see, oh, that time is given in days, please write it like this. You put over 365. Okay? So you have a choice. I will say keep it as a fraction, but 420 divided by 365, obviously it's going to be 1.15 something years. Okay? But use the fraction when we work with it. 30 months. You've got months. So you got to divide that by 12 to get that into years. So 30 divided by 12, that's 2.5 years exactly. 36 weeks. How many weeks do we have in a year? 52. So if I'm going to remind you, I'm going to give you those shortly. So 36 weeks is not quite a full year, but that's okay. We just turn that into years. Okay? So I'll give you this for your study sheet if you need this. 1 year has 12 months, has 52 weeks, has 365 days, has 26 bi-weekly. I wanted to say semi-monthly. This will come in handy for compound as well. I'm going to do a little cheat here, guys, sorry. I'm going to erase the 1 year, and I'm going to go start a little bit further to the left here. And I'm going to just sneak in 24 semi-monthly. So I would say if it doesn't take up too much room in your study sheet, try to have those numbers there. So you don't make a mistake, right? If you're off even by a little bit, it sucks to get it wrong. So here's your simple interest formula, okay? That box, I will have that highlighted. And since you're young, you'll remember this one. I party. See? I party. Interest earned is equal to the principal times the rate times time. where I is the interest earned or paid. I is going to be a dollar amount if you need to add that here. P is the principal. What is the principal, guys? It's the original initial amount that you borrowed or invested. That's what the principal is. It's not the principal in our office here. It's different. So that's that. R is the rate of interest and it has to be as a decimal. And T is time in years. Okay. Recall that in general, future value is always principal plus interest earned. I would say this is worth boxing in. Future value, that's how much you expect to have in the future, is the principal. This is how much you've put in, plus any of the interest that you will earn along the way. Those two combined give you how much you will have in the future. Using letters, we use A equals to P plus I, okay? So this is just written out, and then this is actually using letters. A stands for future value, okay? We can write the formula above like this, okay? So watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take this. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to use orange. I'm going to take this, that concept, and I will say A is equal to P plus I. And I will create a new formula for us out of this. Remember that I, follow my pencil here, I, interest, can be calculated as follows. Going principal times rate times time. So I will take these three letters and insert them here. So A is equal to P plus PRT. I'm going to highlight the PRT up here in green and make that appear there. And notice that there's a P here and there's a P there. There's the principal and principal. So technically we can like factor it out and so rewrite this to make it a little easier on us. It's P bracket 1 plus R times T. What did you just do, Mr. Jackson? Either one is fine. I use this one. It makes it a little faster when I do the calculations. So I'm going to box this one in. I'll put a star next, 2 stars next to this. Use this one. So when should I be using this formula, Mr. Dirksen, when it's simple interest? This one right here? Or when should I be using this one here? When do I use that? When do I use this? You got to tell me, Mr. Dirksen, and this is what I'm telling you. You will have both of these formulas under simple interest. Both of these. If you read the question and you only have 2 variables out of I equals party, like let's say they give me interest and they give me principal, but I don't know the rate or the time, right? If you only have 2 variables, then you have to use this formula. Right away, you're like, I can't use this one, I have to use that one, okay? And I will show you how to solve that in a bit. But make sure that under simple interest, how can I make this all one big box here? You're going to have to summarize it, right? But under simple interest, you should have, that is like your simple interest go-to section right here. I don't think that you need to have this anymore after a while. I'm pretty sure you can just say I equals PRT and then have this one that I boxed in right next to it. That's it. But just tell yourself that I need to use this one if I only have two variables. Okay? That's that. I'm going to talk about rate of return. It's coming back quite often, so I'm not too worried about you not grasping it fully today. ROR, rate of return. By the way, if you ever invest, if you legitimately invest, you're going to want to look for the ROR on that investment handout. Like every 3 months or so, I get a report and I look for the ROR. It tells you the rate of return. How much money did I get back? And it's expressed as a percentage, and it's relative to amount invested. Okay, this is not necessarily dependent to the amount of time involved. Okay, it just tells you how much did you get back. So the rate of return is the future value minus the initial value, right? This is going to tell you how much did you earn, okay? Divided by the initial value. So this is one way of thinking of it. Another way of thinking of it is just simply saying, like, how much did I earn, how much did I gain, and then divide it by the amount that you deposited. And then obviously we always multiply that by 100. An investment with a greater ROR, okay, a greater ROR is better. Okay, so if you have to compare two investments, you want the bigger number. So I will highlight this as well. Just make it appear on your study sheet as well. You're going to need the rate of return. So sometimes this one is more beneficial. Sometimes this one is more beneficial. So have them both on your study sheet. Okay? Have them both, please. And now we can do some math. Enough of the ROR nonsense, right? Okay. So for now, you can just come back to this page if you need formulas. But I would say for tomorrow, make sure you already add them to your study sheet. So let's go to page 10. And I'm going to give you the rest of the class to work on these, okay? You want to ace them. Okay, ready? Okay, Jen invests $2,500 in a GIC. You should recognize, oh yeah, GIC. 2.5% simple interest. In this case, they tell you flat out that we're in the simple interest territory. We don't know compound interest yet, so obviously you don't know about it, okay? But soon we will. For 10 years, calculate the interest earned at maturity. So, you look at your simple interest formula on your study sheet. I want you to do this. I, P, R, T. You do a little bit of an inventory. What does this question give me? Always, that's how I start. Do I know my interest? I don't know. And sometimes you might want to keep going until you see which one is missing, but I don't know this one. They say calculate the interest earned. Does that at maturity, does that throw you off? An investment, when it's done, it matures. It's fully ready, okay? That's what maturity is, okay? So it's basically saying calculate the interest earned by the end of this investment, okay? By the end of investment. Please stop me and ask me, like, what was that word you talked about? Even if you do it privately later, I have no problems answering it. P is the investment. is the $2,500. Okay, that is P in this case. Interest rate, that's the easiest one to identify. Interest rate is 2.5%. I do not want it as percent, so I'm going to divide that by 100 and get 0.025. Do I know T? Time is 10 years. Absolutely, I know that one. Oh, so I know everything except for one, correct? So I'm going to use I equals party. That's my formula that I'm going to use. Okay? So I go I is equal to PRT. So it's 2,500 times the interest rate. You do that, you're getting $625 interest earned over the life of this investment. Over the 10 years, when it matures in 10 years, when it's done in 10 years, you will have accumulated or accrued, I'm throwing a lot of words around today, I know, $625. Okay? Show two different ways to calculate the future value of the investment at maturity. Option 1, A is equal to P plus I. Future value. What's P in this context here? I already determined that it's $2,500, correct? What's I? I just calculated it, $625. You add those two up, you get 32.25, sorry. 31.25, my bad, sorry. Exactly. I always like to go 2 zeros after decimal. You cannot have one decimal when it comes to money. You have to use 2 decimals, okay? It's okay to not include the 0.00, but if you have anything other than 0 following the decimal, you have to go, like if it's 0.2, you have to go 0.20, okay? What's the second option? Option 2 is using this formula here. Remember, this was the second version of the simple interest formula. But when you use this one, you're going to find the future value amount. Okay? So A is equal to principal times 1 plus my rate is this, my time is 10. So you're just going to have to be very careful when you plug that in. I'm going to go 2,500. Watch what I do with my calculator. I'm going to do this part first back here. 0.025 times 10. Then I'm going to go plus 1 to get 1.25. And now you multiply these two. And guess what? You get the exact same answer. So when it comes to figuring out the future value, you may use this formula, which is an alternative to the simple interest one. And or just know that the principal plus the interest earned will give you the future value. Okay, either one is fine. State the rate of return of your investment. Here it is, rate of return. I'm going to use this, interest earned over principal. That's how much you've deposited times 100. We know our interest earned. Interest earned is what? $625. We've deposited $2,500. That's what we put in. We're going to multiply this by 100, and let's see what we get. Times 100, it's 25%. So you got 25% back of the original amount you've put in. Okay? So this is now what if, okay? What if she wanted $3,500 after 500 weeks? What interest rate would she need? Let's do this again. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of investigating before you go and make assumptions. Let's do the easiest one. Do we know time? We do know time, 500 weeks, right? Can we just keep it at 500? No, we have to go 500 divided by what? If it's weeks, we divide it by 52. Now we have it in years. Now we're good to go. I'm just going to leave it like that. The interest rate, it's asking me for it. What is the interest rate? Well, we don't know that one, question mark. Principal. The principal is still the same. It's 2,500. Do I know the interest earned? Think about it. To go, you start with 2,500, you want 3,500 after. How much interest will you have had to earn to get that? $1,000, right? I gave you enough info to get that one out of this question. So I'm going to say 3,500 minus 2,500. So it seemed like you were stuck, but you're not. You have enough information to get that interest there. So we need the interest rate. So we go like this. I equals PRT. And we substitute what we have. Interest is 1,000. Principal is 2,500. Rate, I don't know. I'm going to figure that out. Time is, okay, I'm going to do something here with time. Let's figure out what it is as a decimal, because we're all going to agree that we're going to copy paste, right? We're not going to just round it to 2 decimals when we do the work. So let's do that. 500 divided by 52. Keep that on your calculator. So it's 9.61 and something years. It's almost 10 years, not quite. So we put that in here for time. 9.615 something. So I don't want you to round. That's the reason why I'd rather you keep it as a fraction. But if you're going to tell me I'm going to use all decimals, we're fine. What do we do now? We want to isolate R. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by 2,500. Sorry guys. This is okay to do it this way, but I think I'm going to show you the easier way. Whiteout. Never thought I'd use it. Anyways, I'm going to add one extra step here. There's nothing essentially wrong with the way I was going to show you, but I'm going to multiply these two numbers here so that we only have one number on the right side, okay? So you go 2,500 times that number. So I'm going to go copy, paste, times 2,500. So that's 24,038, 461, and that keeps going, times R. Okay, this is a 4 here. It's hard to see. My bad. And so now we're just going to divide both sides by this number. Okay. It cancels out on the right side. That's exactly what we want. And on the left side, you just have to go 1,000 divided by, copy, paste. So that's 0.0416. That is the interest rate as a decimal. Or you can say the interest rate is this times 100, right? If you want it as a percentage. Both are fine. So it's either that or this. Both of them are fine. Unless I tell you I want it as a percentage, you can just keep it like this. Okay. Let's do one more. If she wanted 2,817 after 890 days at 4.25%, how much would she have to had initially invest? So what this right here, what is it asking me for out of all the letters? P, right? So sometimes it's just going to be like, boom, I know exactly what they're asking me for already without even starting it. So this is IPRT. It gives me time and days. So I'm going to go 890 divided by 365, right? Interest rate, it's 4.25%. But I don't want that. I want decimal. P is unknown. Interest. Do I know that one? Unfortunately, I don't know. I just know I want this much money, and I don't know how much I need to start with, but I want that much money. I also don't know this one. So technically, use this formula. If you have to do some digging, right? But if you, after the digging, after investigating, you're like, you know what? There's 2 question marks. I have to use this formula. And let's see what we substitute in. What would A be in this question right here? A is the future value, how much I have at the end. And so that would be right now this right here. This is A. That's how much I want in the future. So it's 2,817 is equal to, I don't know what P is, 1 plus interest rate times, how are we going to do time? Let's figure out what it is at that decimal right here. It's a little messy, but you've got an amazing calculator. It should not scare you. That's 2.43 something years. We'll just go ... years in our notes. That is the number that we're going to bring over here. 2.438 ... Notice that there's like a double bracket situation happening here. Because I want to figure out what this is in here. then I need to add 1 to it to go out a bracket, and then I multiply by p technically at the end. So this is 2800, 17 is equal to, I don't know what p is. I can figure out what all of this is. I can clean that up. So 2.438 times 0.0425 plus 1. So it's 1.1036 something. So it's basically a bunch of algebra here. We divide both sides by cancel that out. And then we go 2817 divided by 1.0, right? That number there. And that gives me, remember, we're figuring out the principal, which is a dollar amount. So we need to invest that much money in this scenario. And I will just highlight the fact that in this case we had no choice but to use that formula. And just make sure you read the question and ask yourself, what do I know? What am I solving for? Does it make sense to start with a lower amount? Absolutely, because if your money grows, it'll grow up to that future amount, which is greater. All right. I know it asks for rate of return. I'm going to cross that out. We're not going to worry about it here. There's too much going on there. Okay, I'm going to ask you to try page, it goes 11 to 15 is technically simple interest. So I will say if you do pages, 11 to 12, and you feel like, I'm getting a grip, I'm getting the handle of this situation, then you should be fine. But just try a few. Even if you come back and you're like, I'm so stuck, like I don't know what to do after this, I'm okay with that. You bring that question, I will take care of it, okay? Just make sure you do a little bit on your own. So you've got 9 minutes if you want to do 1 or 2 before you go.